Welcome to Embracing Life Again. I'm Catherine Coffer, transition expert and minister. Together, we'll break through life's toughest barriers, rediscover joy, and start dreaming again. It's time to embrace life fully with purpose, passion, and hope. Welcome to Embracing Life Again. I'm your host, Catherine Coffer, where we bring inspiration to your life's transitions. The purpose of our show is to inspire women to find more balance, to feel a sense of freedom, to choose joy, and to dream again as we collectively stand in our power, getting you unstuck in your trauma and loss and to experiencing joy and dream again, as that is the theme. So today I have an awesome show. It is with my dating coach, Natalie Kita. And so I wanted to introduce her really quickly, and we're going to have some great conversation of how do you know that you're ready to date again, and what do you need to prepare after trauma and loss to be able to date again. And she totally helped me, and I'm doing very well. And so here I wanted to introduce Natalie to you. So this print is so small, I'm going to have to put my glasses on. Sorry about that. So Natalie Kita is a love coach, a law of attraction expert with a background in multiple certifications in hypnotherapy, life coaching, neuralistic programming, and integrative somatic practice. Natalie uses the blend of practical spirituality, neuroscience, and applies psychology to help smart, successful single women from the age of 40 to 74 break toxic love patterns, love themselves more, heal from heartbreak, and just clear anything that you... It's amazing. So I'm not going to delay. I'm going to bring her on. So let's welcome Natalie Kita. Hello, Miss Natalie. I am so thrilled to have you on. And so guys, this is Natalie. And so I already told you earlier that she is my dating coach. I hired her back in October, I believe. And she has me rocking and rolling with a new sense of worth, found my love again, meaning love for myself, because I had to change the way I was before I could find my forever. Now, I haven't found him quite yet, but it's okay. I'm on my way, and I can see such a difference from dating now with her guidance than I could after my husband died and I picked the wrong man and then had to go through a divorce. So I'm going to ask you some questions, Natalie. And the biggest one is because I deal with a lot of trauma and loss. So after dealing with trauma and loss, many women are very hesitant about dating again. How can they know when they're truly ready, or what do they need to do to get ready? Well, you can, whatever you want to say there.
Great question. So, how do they, I think what's more important is what can they do to get ready?
Yeah.
Because there's no magical like, oh, hey, I woke up today and I'm ready, right? We have to do the work to get ready. So what does the work look like? The work looks like, first of all, forgiveness for the people who have harmed them, for themselves, for putting up with the people who harmed them or staying too long in relationships that were harmful. The work looks like understanding that no one is ever fully healed. There is no perfect time. There is no perfect person. There's never a point in which, oh, I'm done now. I don't ever have to do any more work on myself. I always say when you're done, you're dead. That's the only time you're done in this world. So the other things would be making sure you have a great support system, because unfortunately, when women have been through traumatic relationships or even great relationships where they lose the person that they love, in a
Mm.
lot of instances, they have made that person their entire world. This happens a lot if someone is in a relationship with a narcissist, for instance, because a narcissist likes to isolate you and likes to make sure that you rely on them for everything, for all, for all your needs, for all your emotional needs, for all your physical needs, for all your boundaries, because they want you to constantly give them validation. So when that happens, you end up very isolated. And when that relationship ends for whatever reason, you don't have a support system in place anymore because you've kind of pushed people away, or
Mm.
you've made this world of just the two of you. And so developing a strong support system, especially of female friends, because when a woman tells me, I really like, making friends with men better, women are catty or this and that, this is a belief that the world has put on us that is simply not true. As you know, from being in my program and from coming to one of my retreats,
Yeah.
it's a supportive environment of women who are loving and non-judgmental and caring, and it's amazing when you can develop that support system. So that's one, get a support system. Two, work on forgiveness. Three, understand that nobody is ever fully healed. Four, build a life and a mission for yourself. And what do I mean by build a life and a mission? A life is, I have friends, I have hobbies, I have interests, I have passions. A mission is, what am I here on this earth to do? What are my special
Mm.
gifts that I can contribute back to the world? When you do that, you are ready. Because without all that stuff, what you're going to do is you're going to look for a person to fill a void in you instead of looking for a partner who complements you, not one who completes you, a person who complements you.
Oh,
You
complete me,
Yeah, basically, you
Yeah.
wanna become complete so you can attract a partner who
Right.
is likewise complete and not looking for you to fill voids in them.
And we often do that because that's what, Jerry Maguire taught us, right?
Right.
You
Well,
complete me. Yeah.
books and movies in general are the worst place to get your ideas about what relationships should be like and should look like.
I love Hallmark though.
Yeah,
We've already discussed this.
Hallmark is the fantasy. One of the biggest ways, and I don't want to get off topic too far, but one of the biggest issues today in dating, especially online dating, is that women fall prey to scammers.
Mm.
And one of the reasons they fall prey to scammers is because instead of dealing with the reality of another human being, they're living in a fantasy world about what the movies and the books and the songs have taught them that love should be. And the scammers know exactly what that fantasy is. And so they can act like they are that fantasy. And so women fall for them hard and then give up their life savings. And it's really scary out there if you are living in a fantasy world.
So true. So I had to find my passion before I knew really who I was, and then was able to love myself and then be ready to redate. So big
Absolutely.
difference between the last time dating and this time dating. um, so what are subconscious love blocks, and how do they prevent women from finding healthy relationships?
One of my favorite topics. This is, as you know, this is what we focus on a lot
Uh-huh.
in the program. Subconscious love blocks are limiting beliefs and fears that we hold in the back of our minds. So your conscious mind um, is what you're most aware of, the conscious thoughts that you have. But what we don't realize is that we make most of our decisions. In fact, research shows about 90% of our decisions from the subconscious. We use our conscious mind to justify those decisions. So we can think, okay, I want this and this and this in a partner. But if we haven't healed the subconscious blocks, we will choose based on the things that are back there. So it's limiting beliefs about our worthiness. It's limiting beliefs about what's available to us. It's limiting beliefs about the opposite sex. I have talked to women who believe, really truly believe, that all men cheat. I've even talked to women who really truly believe that all men will eventually physically abuse a woman. And I have not found that to be the case either of those
Yeah.
at all. I'm not saying I've never been cheated on. I've been cheated on once, but for the most part, I've been with men who were loyal, faithful people. And so I know that there are plenty of them out there. But if a woman has only had experiences with cheaters, she globalizes that to believe that that's all that there is. And
Mm.
if you have that belief, what's interesting is your brain will shut off your ability to see the good ones because it doesn't believe that they exist.
So true.
So what that does is it puts a wall up that blocks you from love. So those blocks can be anything from guilt, fear, fear of change, especially
Mm.
judgment, envy, resentment, anger, addiction to intensity or addiction to pain. Believe it or not, a lot of people have an addiction to pain and chaos in their lives. Feelings of unworthiness, that addiction to the roller coaster of the ups and downs. So those would all be examples of subconscious blocks.
Right. Well, I noticed with one of the guys that I dated for a little bit, he was, so I had to not judge,
Mm.
right? And so I just go into there now, all my different dates, not judging,
Yeah.
and then just looking at what I want, right? To see the red flags that you teach.
Yeah.
And we all have different red flags because we all want different things.
Right.
So it has really helped me in that way. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And then he did turn out to be a narcissist, which was very interesting, right? But this time I was looking for all those flags, right?
Right.
Not
Yeah.
judging, not judging, but just looking and going, what do I need?
Yeah.
Right? Instead of going, oh, he's so nice. He's love bombing me. He's doing this. He's doing that, as you have taught. So, um, how does past trauma influence the type of partners we attract?
Yeah.
And
This one
how can
is
we break the toxic relationship patterns?
so this one is huge. It's going to be a little bit different for everybody, but there are certain things about it that are universal. The first thing about it that's universal is if we have had past trauma, what happens is your nervous system adjusts to what's familiar to you. And your brain actually has a bias toward believing that what is familiar is safe.
Mhm.
Why? Because if it's already happened and you survived it, your brain goes, okay, that's safe. So, what happens when we're faced with something unfamiliar is we get scared of it and we find reasons to walk away from it or run away from it. Whereas if something is familiar, even if we consciously, remember, consciously, we know that this is not good, subconsciously, we will feel a connection, a draw, a familiarity, a pull to that person.
Mhm.
And sometimes we don't see the signs right away, but there's something that our brain, our subconscious catches and goes, this feels familiar. This feels right. This feels safe. This is what I'm going to go for. This is why I'm attracted to this person. And often what we're actually subconsciously doing is we're trying to heal those old wounds from our past trauma by finding someone like that and thinking, if I can make it work at this time, it'll all be okay. I'll prove that I'm worthy of love. I'll prove that I'm worthy of respect. If I can find someone like my mother, like my father, and manage to reconcile the things that were wrong with that relationship in this relationship, I will finally feel whole again. And that's why we need to root out those things and deal with them before we go out in search of another relationship.
Wow. So then that's inner work that we have to do.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's why, when you introduced me, you said that I was your dating coach, and I always say I'm not a dating coach. I do teach you the ins and outs of today's dating, but I'm a love coach because anyone can date. But dating that leads to lasting, healthy, reciprocal love is a completely different animal. And just giving you a bunch of dating tips and dating strategies is not going to help. That's why we work from the inside out.
So true. Yes, you are definitely more than a dating coach because you've helped me with my confidence. I have so many people that knew me before and now, have not met me again, but I've been in their presence again, right? And they're just like, you changed so much. You have this confidence. You have this way that you just carry yourself now. Whereas before, and I'm like, I had just seen him in May, and then I saw him again in December, and they're like, we're blown away of how much I have changed because I've done the work that you have us do to know our worth, to know that we're worthy of loving and finding our self-love so we can be complete as ourselves before we try and find someone else.
Yes.
We're trying to, I'm a fixer, as you know.
Yeah. Wait. Let's stop right there. You're not a fixer. You
I'm
used
sorry, I was a fixer. I
Oh, you're
was.
working on that and you're getting better every day.
Yeah, I don't think I am anymore.
Good.
I think I pretty much put that out the window.
Better.
So, but what I had done was liked a guy for who I thought he could be,
Mm-hmm.
not who he was showing me he is.
Right.
Which
Yes.
is so huge. I was dating potential, which
Yep.
is not what you want to do.
So many women do that. And I think there are some things that are universal, but the dating potential is much more a woman thing than it is a man thing.
Oh, really? Oh,
Oh yeah.
interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
men tend to date who there's a saying that says that men date you hoping that you won't change and women date you hoping that you will.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
And I think that it's definitely, nothing is true across the board, right? But I think women fall much more for, okay, well, he's this and he's that, but if I work with him and if I love him enough and if I'm patient with him, he will become these things that I'm really looking for. And that is a deadly trap.
Right, because they have free will, and I have noticed they don't change usually.
No, men don't tend to be as malleable, as adaptable as women throughout their life. It has to do with the way testosterone works on the brain. However, I always want women to look at it from the man's side. How would you feel if someone said they loved you, but they really didn't love you? They loved what they hoped you could be.
Ah,
That's kind of unfair to them, just like it's unfair to you because you're never really going to get what you want. And a lot of times women distract themselves so much with this, and this that they want to fix about a man that they don't realize there's a whole bunch of other stuff they haven't even noticed yet because they were so focused on those things. They work so hard and they think they get them to change those things. And then they realize, actually, this guy isn't what I want at all. There's really nothing that I wanted about this man, except the fact that he paid me attention and he
mhm,
wanted me. And I felt chosen, and that made me feel good.
mhm.
I didn't stop to think about, do I really want to choose him, who he is right now?
Right. So you miss all the red flags.
Yeah.
At
Yep.
least I had in previous, right? But
Absolutely.
now I know to take him at his word and to watch his actions, right? And just they tell you all the time who they are.
Yeah.
But if you're fantasizing on what he could be, that's the biggest problem I've seen.
Yeah. My husband says if you're always wearing rose colored glasses, the red flags just look like flags.
So true.
And yeah, absolutely. And the interesting thing that you just said about take him at his word is that so many women take men at their word for the things that they want to believe about him.
Mm.
But as soon as he tells them something that they don't want to believe, they ignore that. Like a man may say to you, I'm broken. I'm not ready for a relationship. And a woman's like, oh, but I'm going to be able to convince him otherwise. He's broken. I can fix him. He's not ready for a relationship, but he'll be ready when he sees what a great girlfriend I am. Right.
Mhm,
So they choose to ignore, and this is normal. This is not just female. This is the human brain. The
mhm.
human brain has something called confirmation bias. It constantly looks for evidence that confirms what we already believe or what we want to believe, and it completely ignores and doesn't even show us the evidence that contradicts what we already believe or want to believe.
So interesting. And it's so true. So true. So going back to self-love, talk about how self-love is so essential to finding the right partner, and what is the best way to truly love yourself after heartbreak?
So, self love is essential for kind of the reasons that we've already said, because if you don't love yourself, you'll be looking for all your validation from someone else. And then all somebody needs to do is show up and tell you you're pretty and tell you you're smart. And then they can do all kinds of other terrible things, but you will be addicted to that validation. So you will rationalize and you will justify everything away. In addition, when we don't love ourselves, it is almost impossible to sustain a healthy relationship, even if we do happen to luck into a healthy partner. Why? Because if I don't love myself, when my partner tells me he loves me, I'm going to say, no, you don't. How could you possibly love me? I'm not good enough. Or when he says something that is innocuous, because I don't love myself, I might interpret it as criticism or
Mm.
meanness and hear things he's not even saying. Because if I don't love myself and I'm constantly judging myself, I'm going to project that onto others. I'm going to believe that others are judging me and not loving me. And I've seen so many women reject, they don't realize they're rejecting it, but reject the love of good men because they don't believe that they're worthy of it. And so they keep putting themselves in these situationships with men who do not love them, because that proves what they already believe, which is that they are not lovable. And as far as how do we begin to love ourselves? Well, the most important thing to remember about self-love is that it's not a feeling. It's not saying I love myself. It's
Mhm.
not just giving myself bubble baths and a glass of wine. Self-love is an action, just like love from someone else is an action. If you tell me, Catherine, that you love me, and then
Mhm.
you turn around and you call me names, and other people attack me and you don't defend me, and you violate my boundaries over and over again, and you treat me with disrespect and you break your word to me, that's not love. And so if I say that I love myself and I call myself names and I don't defend myself when people attack me and I don't set and enforce healthy boundaries, I'm not loving myself. So the most important thing we can do for self-love, I think step 1 is boundaries. Learn about what boundaries are, learn how to set them, learn how to enforce and respect your own boundaries. And then after that, just treat yourself better. Say no sometimes. Give yourself rest. Give yourself good, nourishing food. Give yourself exercise. Give yourself hydration. Take time to do the things that bring you joy instead of only giving time to your obligations. Those are all acts of self love. And the more you act like you love yourself, the more you will love yourself, because you're giving yourself a message every time you do that, that you are worthy of that love.
So true. And we are our own worst critics, right?
We tend to be, yes. And that is, oh, you just reminded me, I didn't give you guys part 2 of your exercise. I need to
No,
send
you did not.
that in the Facebook group. I just got so busy that I did not, but I'm going to send you part 2 of that exercise. So that inner critic exercise, because it's important.
So do you want to tell them what that is?
So the well, do you want me to reveal part 2? I mean, I guess I'm going to send it to you today anyway. So the inner critic exercise is basically, you're going to walk around with a notebook for a day, 2 days. Take a little tiny notebook, put it in your purse, take it everywhere you go. And every time you hear that inner voice say something mean to you or about you, or even if you say it out loud, because you might catch yourself saying it out loud to friends, you might say, oh, I feel so fat today, whatever it is. Anytime you hear that inner voice or outer voice, you're going to write it down. That's part 1.
Mhm.
After a couple days, when you've done it, part 2, now don't cheat. Don't cheat on this for those of you who haven't done it. because I don't usually reveal part 2 until you've already done part 1. But part 2 is, now that you've done that, you're going to close your eyes and get in your mind the person in the world who you love and want to protect the most. So for me, that would probably be my daughter. I mean, I love Greg very much, but he doesn't need my protection. My daughter still does, right? And I take my list of what I've said about myself and the mean things that I've said to myself, and I imagine her standing in front of me, and I imagine me saying those things to her. Right? And as soon as I say part 2, people get tears in their eyes. They're like, I could never say these things to her.
Correct.
I could
But
never.
we just say them to ourselves for some reason.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me you love yourself if you are continuing to say these things to yourself, because that's cruel. We are not cruel to people we love.
So true.
And a lot of times it takes that visualization of saying those things to someone that you love unconditionally, that you want to protect with all of your heart. And you could even imagine somebody else saying those things to her. What would you do if somebody else said those things to that person?
Right.
You would jump to their defense. So you need to start jumping to your own defense. Like if somebody said mean things to my daughter, first of all, I would blast them. And second, I would say, you do not get to talk to her that way. And if you do, here's the consequence. And we are not going to be in your life anymore because you don't get to talk to my child that way. So if somebody said those things to me, they don't get to talk to me that way. I can also talk back to my own brain and tell it doesn't get to say things like that to me.
And then so let's say I do that. How does your brain change when you do that? How does it change things?
Well, it just trains you to start talking back to it, because you are not your brain. You are not your thoughts. You are consciousness, pure divine consciousness, observing your own thoughts. You know, everybody has different spiritual beliefs, but I believe that we are all pieces of God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. We are all just little pieces of that divine consciousness. And that divine consciousness is observing those thoughts. And that divine consciousness gets to stand up to those thoughts and say, no, that's not true. That is not true. And that's not okay for you to say to her. And so then you'll start practicing talking back to your own brain and realizing that those thoughts aren't necessarily true and they're not kind. And if it's not kind or it's not true, you shouldn't be saying it. So you talk back to yourself, basically.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I did pretty good on my number 1.
Good.
I didn't have too much self-talk. What was interesting was I did go to an e-women's meeting, right? And there was a guy there that was talking about self-love. And I felt so bad because I've done the work. So I could look at my phone and say, I love you, and feel it. Whereas so many of the women that were there, it was so sad. There was 2 of them that just wouldn't. And they just cried.
Yeah.
So he tried to say, okay. So then he went to them and tried to get them to do some other things. And they couldn't even say nice things about themselves. It broke my heart because I realized the work I've done. And there are so many beautiful women out there that hate themselves. And it's just so sad. I didn't realize it, Natalie. I didn't realize it until I went there, how much I had grown.
Yeah.
Because I was probably one of them years ago.
I had a woman come to a retreat one time, and we did that same exercise. The first day of the retreat, I gave them that assignment, and she said, I don't really have any negative self-talk. And everybody just kind of went, okay. And the next day she came in and she's like, I feel like everybody here hates me. And I'm like, and you don't think you have negative self-talk? Do you realize everybody hates me is negative self-talk? And she started crying. And I remember a time when I felt like I loved myself deeply. And I'm not going to get into the story of the moment that I realized that I didn't, because it's deeply personal, but there was a moment that I realized, oh wait, no I don't. I haven't been loving myself. And that realization is kind of the moment, as painful as that moment was, that was the moment that started to turn it all around. And that's kind of what the part 2 of that exercise really does, is when you realize how cruel you're being to yourself, and then you can start to turn it around.
Wow. Wow. So one thing I do for my audience is ask you, what are like 3 simple, powerful shifts a woman can make today to start attracting, loving themselves, or attracting the right kind of love into her life? And it doesn't have to be a man. It can be your kids. It can be your friends. It, you know, so just the right type of relationships that that women deserve.
Okay, so one would be learn about your brain. Learn what your subconscious does, learn what your conscious mind does, learn the bias that your brain has toward the familiar and how you can overcome it. One of the things that I do with my clients, because I'm a hypnotherapist, is I have hypnosis audio sessions that my clients get to help kind of get the subconscious and the conscious on board with each other and in alignment, which makes a huge difference, because when you're in alignment between your conscious and subconscious minds, you're not constantly in conflict with yourself.
Wow.
I mean, how much of your life have you spent like arguing with yourself and in conflict with yourself about what you should do, as opposed to know what you know you are doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's number 1. Number 2 is invest in yourself. And when I say invest in yourself, I mean, so many women, especially in our society, are trained from birth that we're supposed to invest all of our time, all of our energy, and all of our resources in other people. And while I firmly believe in giving back and having a mission to contribute to the world,
Mm-hmm.
so many of us are not doing all the things that we do for others out of that mission, out of that purpose. We're doing it because we feel obligated. We're exhausting ourselves, we're depleting ourselves, we're draining our energy, and we're not investing our time, our energy, or our resources into ourselves. So take a class, join a coaching program, spend some time at the gym, spend some time in nature, spend some time meditating, spend some time with your spiritual practices, whatever they are. Invest in yourself. Spend money on yourself. Go on a trip. I know so many women who are, mothers or grandmothers who are like, well, I can't afford this. I spend all my money on my grandchildren. I'm like, you can spend some money on your grandchildren, but what your grandchildren actually want from you is love, and money isn't love. And you have worked your whole life. It's time for you to spend some money on you, spend some time with you. And then um, as far as when it comes to attracting love, the best thing you can do is get a hold of your thoughts.
Mm.
Because, from a perspective of the law of attraction and manifesting, your thoughts are the genesis of everything. Thoughts create feelings. Feelings create your energetic vibration, your frequency, and your frequency creates your reality. So if you want to change everything as far as what you're attracting into your life, start with your thoughts. When you change your thoughts, that chain reaction happens and you end up changing everything. And you create what I call an upward spiral in your life instead of the downward spiral that so many people are on.
Wow, that's good. That is good. So, how is it easiest for people to find you? 1, and 2, um, I, I believe you've written a book, haven't you?
Um,
Or
I
no?
I have
Okay.
a manifesting journal. It's available on Amazon. It's called the Magical Guided Manifesting Journal. And it is a guided journal. It's not just blank pages. We give you prompts and we give you ideas and we give you starters and things like that. I'm currently working on my next book, which is called The Problem with Chemistry, A Smart Woman's Guide to Fixing a Broken Picker and Manifesting. I'm about 95% done with that. And when when it's ready to go, everyone on my mailing list, everyone in my social media will hear about it. So the best way to find me, though, is to go to www.mylast.love. And from that page, you can click on free class and you'll be taken to my free webinar. You can also click on my socials, so you can follow me or friend me on Facebook. And or Instagram, I believe, is also on there, although I rarely use Instagram, so forgive me, I'm a Facebook girl. But really that website, and it's just a reminder, it's mylast.love, not mylastlove.com, mylast.love. And again, the free class is linked there at the top of the page. The socials are listed at the bottom, and there's more information there about me, my program, etc.
Okay. And then you have a retreat coming up in Mexico.
Yes. We have an annual, so we have mini retreats, weekend retreats in Las Vegas. But we also have an annual week-long self-love retreat for women only. Sorry, guys. It is for women only. We have classes every day, but we also have free time every day to enjoy the resort. It is all inclusive. It is a beautiful resort, beautiful beach. It's about half an hour south of Cancun. It's very safe. It's all, kind of a gated community. It's very, very secure. And the people there are amazing. The beach is gorgeous. There are off-site excursions. We have a few different options for kinds of tickets you can get. You can get a VIP ticket that includes some extras. You can get a regular private room, or you can bring a friend and do a shared room. For my retreats, you do not have to be a member of my program to come to the retreats. Although I would say probably 75 to 80% of the people who come to the retreats are. It's really a once in a lifetime experience. And that in itself, just going to the retreat in itself is an act of self-love. But what I like about the week-long retreats is that it gives you time after your classes each day to really process and assimilate that into your life and really work through things. Because as you know, having been to my most recent retreat, I throw a lot at you. So when you do it in 2 days, it's a lot to kind of absorb, let alone process. So the week-long retreat really allows you more space to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm trying to clear my schedule, so.
I would love to see you in October in Mexico. If we also have a November retreat in Vegas, which is not fully self-love focused. It is called the Level Up Your Life retreat. Well, that's the one you were at.
That's the one I was at, yeah.
Yeah, so we do 2 full days of classes. We do everything from money manifesting to love manifesting to self-confidence to finding your passion and your purpose to creativity, and self-love, of course, is part of it as well. Because self-love ties into everything, right?
It does. It does.
You can't manifest anything that you want if you don't fully believe that you're worthy of it.
True.
So the Level Up Your Life is my most popular retreat by far. That's why I do them twice a year.
Great. Well, I am so happy you were on, and so so I'm speechless right now. Anyway.
Well, I'm happy that you invited me. When you have the episode ready, send me a link and I'll share it on Facebook.
Yes. Yeah, because that will help everything for you too. So I'm so happy. So
well, thank you. I appreciate you, and always a pleasure to talk to you, Kathy.
Yeah, thank you, sweetie.
Coming up next, Adventures with Theo and Zebby, right here on Embracing Life Again with Catherine Koffer.
where's 603 going?
Yes. Yeah, saying low pressure on it. So it means somewhere it's leaking. Just need to machine a new tube because the tubing's locked.
Hello, sir. I'll blurt you out.
Well, hi.
Well, look who's here to meet you.
Yeah.
Hey, Grandma.
Hi.
What a go
I
boy.
don't know if you want him on you.
No,
but
I don't.
This way it's easier for you just to pet him. It being in the stroller because he's at your same height. So how'd your surgery go?
The surgery went fine. The pain is woof. Woof, woof.
He's happy. He can't get on you because you just had an operation. So, but you can pet him.
No, if he gets on my hip,
Oh, yeah,
he'll
you would
send
be-
me through the ceiling.
Yep, yep.
Look, you got all groomed. You look so
Yeah, he's on
You
it
look
for
wonderful.
you. Yeah.
That's my therapy dog. Yes, it is.
Huh.
Yeah. Did you recognize me? Is that why you gave me some kisses?
He knows you.
You're a great dog. Yeah,
Boys.
you're a good boy. Animals are funny.
Yeah, they know when you're hurting. They know when you are distressed. They know a lot of stuff.
And Marshmallow, he slept with Diane last night.
Go down, man. You've taken the first step to embracing life again. Let's continue to break barriers, find joy, and dream without limits. Join us next time and let's discover inspiration through every transition together.